There are boats in this world that inspire passion, elegance, and a deep desire. Boats that make you stop in the marina, stare slack jawed, and whisper to yourself, one day I'll mortgage the house for that. And then there's this, the Wildcat 350, a boat so controversial, so uneven, so bafflingly inconsistent that sailors don't even argue about it. They just apologize before bringing it up. It's the catamaran equivalent of pineapple on pizza. People either adore it or they quietly wish it would fall off the edge of the earth. And today we're going to talk about whether this thing is actually the worst catamaran ever made or whether people are just being dramatic. Because I found one for sale right now for $125,000. 3 cabins, 2 heads, a saloon the size of a modest New York condo, all for less than the cost of a new Fontaine Peugeot's carbon fiber toilet seat. On paper, this looks like it might be the bargain of the century, but boats, like Tinder dates, rarely look exactly like their profile pictures. Let's begin with the elephant in the room on this boat, the Practical Sailor review from way back when. If this boat had a defining moment, this was it. Practical Sailor took a Wildcat 350 named Duet out for a charter in the Caribbean, and what they found was not a duet. It was a solo performance by a kazoo that had been dropped in the sand. Lines didn't run, blocks didn't turn, reefing required the sort of upper body strength normally reserved for professional lumberjacks or Olympic shot putters. And downwind, imagine steering a shopping cart that only wanted to turn left. That was Duet. Now, were these problems due to a bad design? Not necessarily. These were charter boat problems, which means it had likely been maintained by someone whose primary job was to carry drinks to tourists. Charter boats can be rough even when they're built by companies with world-class quality control. But this is where the story kind of takes a turn, because after that review came out, Practical Sailor got letters. Angry letters, sad letters, confused letters. Most of all, letters from Wildcat owners who had experienced things. One owner wrote that dealing with the builder, a man named Eric Schumann at Charter Cats South Africa, was one of the most unpleasant experiences of my life. This is not the sort of endorsement you typically see in marketing material. You don't open a brochure and find great boat, terrible emotional trauma. And then, because of course, the builder wrote back a rebuttal, a counter rebuttal, a bit of drama. It was like the H Catamaran controversy, but 20 years ago. It was like the world's least exciting soap opera. This exchange set the tone for everything the Wildcat has become known for. Not a bad design, but inconsistent execution. You see, the Wildcat 350 is actually a Jeff Schoening design. Schoening is a legend at building performance catamarans. He builds boats that are light, fast, efficient, and occasionally terrifying in a very good way. When Schoening does his thing, people go places quickly. And the Wildcat should have been one of those boats. A 35-footer with a big sail plan, light displacement around 5 knots, narrow hull entries, good power to weight ratio, capable of 8 to 10 knots on the upwind, 10 to 13 off the breeze. Not wow, but definitely respectable. So why all the drama? Because the design comes from a genius, the construction came from a small South African yard where quality control seems to have fluctuated with the weather, or the staff mood, or possibly the phases of the moon. The hulls were built using quadraxial fiberglass with balsa core. This is fine if the balsa stays dry, but if it doesn't, congratulations, you have purchased a 35-foot water-absorbing sponge, the kind that normally sits next to the dish soap. Some Wildcats were built brilliantly, solid laminates, tight tabbing, bone-dry cores. Those boats are still out there today, happily cruising. Their owners are smiling smugly from their anchorages, wondering why everyone online is complaining about Wildcats. And then there were the other Wildcats, the one where a surveyor taps the deck and the sound it makes is more like a stale sandwich. Or the bulkheads had the structural integrity of wet noodles. Or the gel coat blisters look like your boat caught the chicken pox. This is the heart of the Wildcat legend. It's a lottery, a nautical grab bag, the Forrest Gump of chocolates. You're genuinely not knowing what you're going to get with this boat. And let's talk layout though, because this is where the Wildcat kind of shines. If you want maximum accommodation in minimal length, this boat is basically cheating. 3 or 4 cabins, 2 heads, a galley that actually works, a saloon that feels much bigger than a 35-footer has any right to offer you. And there's storage everywhere and standing headroom. It's like they took the interior volume of a Leopard 40 and thought, yes, let's put that in 35 feet. Physics is merely a suggestion. So when you step aboard this $125,000 Wildcat, the first thing you think genuinely is, wow, this is a lot of boat for the money. And then you start noticing things. A soft spot here, a weird creak there, a bulkhead tab that looks more decorative than structural, doors that only close on Tuesdays when the humidity is just right. But here's the fair side. Wildcats that were built well don't have any of these problems. The owners of these boats will fight you in the comments if you suggest they're poorly made. They'll say things like, mine has crossed oceans, mine taps clean everywhere, or I want to have mine's babies. And they're right. Their Wildcat is brilliant, fun, safe, stable, a performance-oriented cat that costs half as much as the big boys. But here's the problem. You don't know which Wildcat this one is. Every Wildcat purchase comes with a free stress test for your surveyor and, unofficially, a small heart attack for you. You have to check everything: moisture, laminates, bulkheads, tabbing, chain plates, underfloor compartments, the mast step, hull, the deck joints, the transoms, everything except the flavor of the gel coat. Because if there is a problem, it's rarely a tiny one. You don't get a Wildcat with just a small soft spot. No, you get a Wildcat that was built on Friday afternoon, soft spots that have unionized. But again, balance. When Wildcat is good, it's really good. They sail beautifully, they anchor in shallow water, carry your whole family, fast enough to outrun the boring charter cats, and it's genuinely a fun boat. But when Wildcat is bad, it's the sort of boat you try to sell anonymously using stock photos from a location with no return address. So is the Wildcat 350 the worst catamaran ever made? Maybe not. Some of them are gems, some of them are cult favorites, some have given their owners years of trouble-free cruising. But is this a boat you should confidently buy for $125,000? Not unless your surveyor is smiling, and surveyors do not smile. They frown, they sigh, they write large numbers on clipboards. If a surveyor ever smiles, it's because the boat is either perfect or because it's such a disaster they get to tell someone to run. If you like these sailboat videos, give this one a thumbs up for me and hit subscribe, because the mission here at Lady K Sailing has always been to get more people sailing more easily, and I sure couldn't do it without the help of the patrons, people who give as little as a couple of bucks an episode to make these videos possible. If you'd like to help me get more people sailing more easily, please consider becoming a patron. Paid patrons get access to the app, where we have a group chat and live one-on-one messaging with me, and consultations if they're in the boat buying or learning process. I hope to see you over there. Until next time, friends, keep the heavy side down, but not too far down. I love you guys.